Ira Epstein and Linn Associates with the morning flash update for this Tuesday, the 11th of June, 2019. Today's Tuesday. We've had a big vertical move in the stock market. Be aware of Tuesday reversals. That's all I can tell you. I'm not saying it's going to break, but you've went up pretty hard, and I wonder if these markets aren't just ready to give back a little bit. Gold market giving up a little bit to silver, where it lost a lot of ground yesterday to silver. Copper market had a good bounce, got up to the 270 level, hit some upside targets that we'll talk about in our metals update at the end of the day. Dollar index pretty flat, not going much one way or the other. I can say the same about most of the currencies today. As we step into the metal market, the most interesting part is the market gotten to the point where it's ready to get a bit of a short covering rally, or is this market going to lay down and be negative? There's a fight going on between OPEC and Russia. Like it or not, Russia, Rosneft wants to produce more oil. They're fearful that they're going to give up market share to the U.S. On the other hand, what that can do is break oil prices down, because you take the U.S. supplies that we had last week and you saw those big numbers. The question is today, will we get revisionment in the API? That comes out at 3:30 in the afternoon. If not, and you show more supply, that certainly won't be a very good sign for what's going on in these markets. Bonds and notes, pretty flat to start the day out. In the grain market, if you saw yesterday, you had your crop progress report, and the numbers looked a bit bearish, I thought at least, for the wheat. Actually, for all three. Wheat was more neutral than anything, but corn and beans certainly down. I'm going to be switching over probably late today to new crop grains after I see the WSADE report. That's at 11 o'clock today, so you're going to get your supply-demand report. Now, if we take a look at the NFIB Small Business Index, 105 versus 103.5 in the previous report. It's a blowout number. I don't know anywhere, and I was looking at surveys, the highest I saw was around 104. The market expected a 101.3 number. The PPI, US PPI, came in at up 1/10. The market expected that. Ex-food and energy up 0.2. The market expected that. Personal consumption up 0.2. We don't have a lot of inflation. That is still a story going on. Weekly retail sales, well, if you look at the ICSC, it was up 1.8% from the previous week and 1.4% from a year ago. But when you go to Redbook, you see it was down 2.6% for the first week of June. And remember, this number would have been through June 8th, if I'm correct. And the weekly retail sales up 5% versus 2018 and 5% on the weekly basis. So you weren't bad there. The retail economist, the Goldman Sachs Chain Store Index, up 1.4% in the week ended June 10th and 1.8% on the year. That's good. What got the stock market going today a little bit, I think, was world events, because China's decided a new infrastructure measure. So they're going to allow their, if you will, their special purpose bond issuances from local governments designed to fund infrastructure. So that would give cement, rebar, iron ore a bounce in the market, the things you'd need for restructure, for infrastructure building, and that's what's happening there. So other than that, I think it's a matter of wait, see. The grain day is going to be very, very important. And of course, the market's in that quiet period where the Fed this week doesn't send anybody out. Next week, and I was looking for the date, I didn't know if it was the end of this week or next week. It's next week. We have the FOMC meeting, so keep your eye on that. The question on OPEC meeting, I think it's being moved to the first week of July, the 3rd and the 4th, from the June 25th time frame. And remember, at the end of June, we have the G20 meeting. That is the elephant in the room, because it depends what happens between Presidents Trump and Xi as to whether or not there's going to be, number one, do they even meet? Number two, if they do meet, can they get the negotiations back on track, or do both dig their heels in and we continue on with this trade war? I'm Ira Epstein. See you at the end of the day videos, and I want to remind you, there are times you need a little bit of help. I offer my twice daily market research. So you're going to get today a grain report as an example. I'll cover it in detail in this, and this is the one that I write. and I'll tell you what I see. If it's bullish, is it bearish? I'll explain how these reports typically, and the word is typically, don't get overly aggressive from the government in the month of June. They could, I've seen it in the past, but they typically don't. So my report looks like this. It's not meant to be pages. It's a page of reading at the max. It does contain specific buy and sell recommendations for those of you that are more position trading. I put out an audio commentary. The word daily numbers means if you're a Windows envelope trader, I put those numbers in there so that you can see exactly what they are. You don't get that in too many places. And you can try this all if you'd want for free if you haven't in the past. How do you get it? Either call my staff. You can go to our website, www.iraepstein.com, and simply at that point click on the lead page. It's a carousel of free offers. The forms will show up, and you can always click if you're watching me on YouTube right here. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good day, and I will talk to you all this afternoon.